Hey, it's Spoonie, and I know it's only been a few days since my last update on this game, but we just got another look at actual gameplay and in-game footage from Kitten Space Agency. This time, it's a ton of footage, and I don't want to wait a full month to talk about it. So let's go. Real quick, for those who are just hearing about Kitten Space Agency for the first time, it's the spiritual successor to Kerbal Space Program and is the new space exploration game being developed by Dean Hall and a team at Rocketworks that includes BlackRack, known for some incredible visual mods from the KSP community, as well as Harvester, who is the creator of Kerbal Space Program. So in my opinion, this is the real follow-up to Kerbal Space Program. To get a more in-depth look at the features and what to expect, check out my most recent update video on the development progress. This should bring you up to speed and answer most of the basic questions you might have about the game. But as for the new gameplay footage, let's just jump right in and see what new things we can learn from this impromptu stream. I'm just going to be showing the highlights here, but if you want to find the unabridged version, it's on the Rocketworks YouTube page. The first thing to notice here is a really solid look at the map view showing the crafts apoapsis and periapsis. It's maybe not the first time we have seen this, but it's one of the better views we have gotten. And as he zooms in, we can also get a bit of new information about the points of interest. Here we can see at least a few mountains, but more importantly, we can also see Anchorage, which is a city in Alaska for anybody who's less familiar with US cities, and by most standards, it would be considered a mid-sized town at best, but by Alaskan standards, it might as well be Tokyo or New York. And this answers a question that's been asked a lot. How many points of interest can we expect to have? And while I don't really expect there to be fully populated planets complete with NPCs wandering around, it would be nice to see some more activity when in space. If nothing else, at least maybe city lights, just something to make the planet feel more alive. I also really like the idea of this because it might inspire some modders to put some hidden planets on some far-off interstellar system that might have alien cities on it. I just like the idea of finding Easter eggs, so while I might be ahead of the curve here, it's still fun to think about. And I feel like the next highlight is this sunrise. We can really start to get a feel for just how epic coming around a planet is going to feel. There's already really nice scattering over the atmosphere, and the lighting already looks great. So for something to look this good this early, definitely has me on the hype train. We also got a really great view of a flight over some clouds that are again incredible. BlackRack is doing an amazing job. It's easy to take for granted just how difficult having great seamless textures can be, but having even somewhat realistic clouds that you can actually pass through is another beast entirely. What is also pretty cool here is the camera following the International Space Station's path. While the actual station is obviously missing, it gives us a view of the same elevation and trajectory, which is a pretty cool little aside. I know that they are planning to use a different system when KSA finally releases, but I hope in the meantime they add in the ISS as a point of interest. This also brings up a topic that has been talked about a lot. What are they planning to do with the real solar system they are building out here? Is it just going to be scrapped once the system they plan to use for 1.0 is complete? I personally doubt this very much. There is a serious amount of effort going into this system, and I will personally be stunned if they just hit delete. My suspicion is that it will ultimately become an interstellar location that we can visit. I really want them to keep this system, and it could also become kind of a lore thing for KSA, insinuating that cats aren't actually terrestrial animals and are alien to Earth. After all, Egyptians and several other cultures have worshipped cats throughout history. And even today, half the internet is still just pictures of cats. So I think it could work. Okay, so on to what is my favorite part of this stream, and that is this view of Earth from the moon. This reminds me a lot of the first time I made it out to the moon playing Kerbal Space Program, and that moment of awe just staring back at Kerbal. And when I think about it, it honestly might be one of my favorite moments in gaming. So this is really cool to see the evolution of that moment, and it gets me pretty excited to relive that achievement in a new game with some updated graphics and mechanics. Also really loved seeing this time warp with the moon tidally locked to the Earth and the Earth spinning in the back. This is just a really cool glimpse into the game so far. And remember, this is really early days. This is the current developer build, which means it's purely for testing, and it's possible that some of the newer updates that we have been shown in the past few weeks may not have been implemented here, so it may already look way better than this. And to top it off, we get this view from the surface of the moon. And sure enough, we are missing some of that terrain tessellation that was shown off in the last few weeks. Not sure if we're just up too high to see it here or if the angle doesn't show them, but yeah, I don't think we're seeing absolutely everything that has been finished so far. Okay, next is a first so far, and that is an up-close look at Venus, and we can see a couple points of interest here as well. So we don't know what these are just yet, but this is the first time we have seen Venus anywhere near this close, let alone the surface. Also, this is a good spot to point out that there are now a total of 56 bodies in the system, and the fact that it lists the system as Sol is, at least for me, a really good indication that there might be interstellar travel in vanilla. They haven't mentioned this outright or bluntly said that it is definitely going to be part of the vanilla game, but I think this is still a really good sign nonetheless. Moving on to Mars, we get some great orbital shots that show off scattering and what it might look like going around the red planet. We also can see some points of interest on Mars now, so it would appear that they are already adding in several points of interest on each of the planetary bodies and moons. Hopefully that is a sign that they are getting a little bit closer to having a playable version ready by the end of the year. I'm still holding my breath. I know earlier it was mentioned that this is something they were aiming for, but we all know how game development goes. Next, we got to see a few more shots of the Apollo command module, which is being used for testing, orbiting their Earth, and doing some minor burns, and using the RCS thrusters. It looks like they might be using a scaled down version as a placeholder for the plumes that have been shown off. It is the developer build after all. We are nowhere near the optimization stage of development, so while some things might get done here and there, it doesn't make a lot of sense to throw in everything until it's stable and ready. But one thing I did notice is the shift from spherical billboards to what I guess you would call the up-close textures on the planet, and right now it doesn't seem that there's a whole lot of in-between, which is totally normal for this stage of development as they work on core features. Something to notice though is just how smooth this transition already is. It doesn't stutter in, it just kind of shifts into being. So when this is ready for early access, I imagine it's going to look pretty impressive. Another thing I also notice is how consistent the cloud renderings are. There are shifts as the clouds alter, but it is really smooth overall. Sadly, there are no colliders just yet. All we get is this kind of bottoming out rather than a crash landing, but it's still really cool to see a full descent down to the surface. Again, you can find the unabridged video of this gameplay footage on Rocketworks' YouTube page or on the developer Discord, which is in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on gaming news and developments, and you can help my channel out a lot by giving this video a massive thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.